Welcome back. So Monday morning, Jeff and Devin started the process of bonding the various pieces of the left wing together, and here they've actually got the spar already in place and got the high sole laid down, so that's happening. And meanwhile, Dan is busy just doing more wiring and all sorts of good stuff around the fuselage. Here he's getting the ground and power cables that go through the forward bulkhead sorted out. And I spent pretty much all of Monday sanding on the door frames and getting those closer to being ready to prime. But I'll be putting the doors back on and doing a final fitment with the seals on before I do that. And here you can see Dan now working around the back end section. So some of the things that he's been working on now, bringing the wires through from the cabin for the fuel level senders and the fuel temperature senders from the straight tanks, and also the fuel level lights from the header tank as well. And it probably doesn't look any different, but I am further along with this. I know it's boring, but I'm the one doing it all. And Jeff and Devin making good progress here. They've got most of the ribs in and also the aft spar in. Just need to finish off the last couple of ribs there on the trailing edge, and I think some ribs there on the winglet. And by the end of the day on Monday, they had it all together. So that's both of the wings now, all of the structures all put in. So now it's time to start fitting in the bell cranks and the conduits and things like that, and getting the last few things done so those wings can be ready to close out with the lower surfaces. And on to Tuesday, I decided it was time to do something a little bit different because I was getting tired of sanding. So this is the foreplane stuff here, and the hinges that go for the elevator. That's one of the hinge hangers there, and there's another one. And so we got there's ribs, various ribs for the elevator. So what I need to do, I need to make a jig that's going to allow us to align all these different pieces, because we can bond the ribs in, but then we need to bolt the hangers on, and all those hangers need to be perfectly aligned, otherwise the elevator is not going to work right. So here's the design of what I've come up with. So what I'm doing is using some 3-inch aluminum tube that was lying around our shop that we had, and cutting that into various pieces, and then setting it up so I can screw these together, and that will create a fixture that we can use to align the ribs, and then also drill the match holes there for each of the elevator hangers. So now it's time to actually make that fixture out of those out of that aluminum rectangle tube. So first up, I cut that long piece to length, and then drilled and tapped each of the holes there that allows me to bolt those other smaller pieces onto it. And obviously it's interchangeable, so I can switch the sides out to do a left and a right. And here I'm just using the centering drill here to just pre-drill all the holes in these other pieces, and then I just took it over onto the bench there and drilled them through. It was just going to be quicker that way. So that got that done. And to save you all the tedious bits, here's the finished product already bolted together, trimmed and sorted out, and then that's one of the hangers there just sort of bolted on, just to show kind of how this thing works. And then ultimately this is how it would look on the spar. So here's the spar sitting in the jig that I created a while back. And keep in mind this is inverted compared to what I was just showing you in the CAD. But basically there's the fixture clamped into place the way it will sit, and it'll be used to align those the ribs, and then ultimately match drill the holes through the jig there, and then we can bolt those the hangers on there, the anodized one, for the elevator. So everything is ready now for Jeff to be able to put together that whole foreplane now. And Barry up at CRI sent me a quick picture there of the new prop shaft that's been done and hardened, so that's back and ready to go now. So they're still working on the left and right hand sides of the casing, and they also have to do the mounting brackets, but things are moving along with that, and I'm hoping it'll be only a week or two, or maybe 3 weeks or something, before I can get to go up there and actually assemble that and bring it back and be able to install it. And there's Dan making some sparks as he's working on adjusting or making modifications to that turbo support bracket after we had to lower the turbo a little bit to allow the intake to fit on there. And Devin, is this on Tuesday now, is closing out a couple of sections there on the wings there where we didn't actually have flanges, or the rib had to be adjusted because it was too big because of that, in that case there, because of that closeout on the spar. So just doing a little layup there just to make a nice sort of seam where the rib sort of butts into the spar. And same with this one there, where the spar butts into that rib, and you just put a layup on both sides of those just to reinforce that. And over on the other wing, you can see he's already done the same thing there. I believe it was 3 different places. So there's down in the root there, and then one up here at the transition, and one back around here on the other side there, where that first rib sort of mates into the spar. And just to give you a look, there's that other one there. So those are all closed out and reinforced. So everything's looking good there. It's time to start installing the various bits and pieces in there. And Dan's just doing an amazing job. Look how neat he's got the wiring here. He's got it all enclosed in that plastic wiring loom. And so compared to what you've seen before with all the wires that were coming out of those connectors, now it's just really neat and tidy. So pretty happy about that. There's still a couple of other wires he's just got to underneath there, where he still has to connect them to the grounds. But for the most part, he's got everything sorted out and looking super nice under there. And looking in through the right side baggage compartment there, you can see the wires that were running up there through that back bulkhead. He's got all those enclosed now too, in some wire loom there. So everything's just, it's really starting to get, buttoned up here and finished off with respect to all the wiring around the outside, everything outside of the cabin. So eventually we'll be able to move inside, but I need to get those door frames all painted before we start installing anything on the inside. And here you can see he's mounted those other brackets up again, and was getting things sorted out for the intake. And we're actually going to paint that top new bracket here shortly, prime it, and just rattle can it with black, because it's just impractical to take the engine mount off and send it for re-powder coating, because we've made that addition to it. And then under here, that's where the Arduino is going to live, and I worked on that on the weekend, spent quite a lot of time and got my program pretty much sorted out. So this weekend, coming up with a long weekend, I'll be able to do the hardware side of it and get the board all soldered up with all the logic that I need in there, and I'll be able to mount it next week. Anyway, that's our update for the first half of this week, and thanks again for watching, and we'll see you on Saturday.